going to record this evening so that Rob has it as a memento. And I know there are some people who aren't able to join this evening and would like to be able to see it on YouTube. So I hope that's all right with everybody. And it is casual and relaxed. You know, you can unmute mute yourself and make rude comments. So yay, Phillips, please. So we don't have to, you know, we don't have to stand on ceremony. And certainly later on, a bit later on, we're going to have an open invitation. Anybody who'd like to say something, you know, a memory or just to say thank you, if you send me a message, then when we come to that open invitation, I'll invite people to speak. And then if you're not confident about the chat function, I'll also just say wave if you'd like to say something. But before then, in a moment, Michelle will make the presentation to Rob on behalf of us all. And then Ben Brown, St Mary's and Beverston, will propose a toast to Rob. And after that, we might then allow Rob to say something, to speak. And then we're going to have, as I say, that open invitation. Anybody who'd like to just say something. I've got a few people who I've lined up already, but then an open invitation. Before we do anything else, I would like to close the door. I'd like to just say a very few words, and I'd like to share some pictures of Rob. So pictures. So I was looking out. I've got a very small and select collection of Rob pictures of Rob. This is Rob before he started with us. The picture he sent when he was about to be made ordained deacon. This is him being ordained deacon. And if I do something clever, which I can't, you can see Rob. There he is. And this, I discovered, I don't know where I got that from. I thought he was running when I found it, but he's not running at all. He's drinking a glass of Pimm's, I think. So that's very nice. And unusual. He's not shaved. Yay. And these are two pictures that he sent me just recently. I think we've all come to love that picture of him in the kitchen. So in preparing for today, I went back to my notes from my very first meeting with Rob, which was on the 13th of February 2016, nearly 18 months before he joined us in July 2017. And I looked at my notes and I had a heading, what did I like? And I wrote, real sense of grace about his calling. This was God butting into his life and his plans, but a lovely openness, also recognizing the costs. Utterly committed to sacramental ministry and to priesthood, knowledgeable, with a gentle way of sharing his knowledge, that you all know about. My last comment was very humorous. And I know in our 3 years together, it is that humor which has just been a wonderful element of the way we've worked together. And then, so that was the very first thing I wrote about Rob. And then I looked at my reference for Navy Command. And it said, what is your opinion of the candidate's character and personality? And I said, Rob is a person of integrity, intelligence, humor, humility, and grace. He's demonstrated good leadership and resilience, responding and reflecting on the highs and lows of ministry with admirable equilibrium. He provides loving and compassionate pastoral ministry to those in his care, walking with people in times of joy and sorrow. Family and friends are important to Rob, and these relationships support him in ministry and life generally. Personally, it's been a privilege to share in ministry and personally the preparations for the birth of their first child and getting to know Frankie and his wider family. So for me, from beginning to end, it has been a joy. Rob has been for me a friend, a valued colleague, a priest when I've needed a priest to minister to me. But enough from me. and on with the celebrations. So the first person to go to is Michelle. And if people would like to move to speaker view rather than gallery view, and Michelle, unmic yourself and make that presentation on behalf of us all.
Okay. Hi, Rob. My memories of you was basically you arrived at the same time as my beloved grandson. In fact, my grandson gate crashed your welcome do in the vicarage garden. And I do believe that Jacob was actually the first baby that you'd actually held. And I've never actually seen anyone look so awkward and scared in all his life. But obviously in practice for your future baptisms and for your lovely Clarissa. So thank you for that. And on a personal note, I want to thank you for all your support, particularly during the sabbatical, of which Poppy prepared you so beautifully for. And we did have some difficult times, but you showed fantastic leadership and you've been a true friend, and I thank you for that. Well, obviously today's been a little bit different because trying to liaise gifts with you. So I'm just going to pretend I'm just going out to get some gifts. So just bear with me 1 second. Right. Now somebody should have passed you a bouquet of flowers for your lovely.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Beautiful, thank you.
And there should be a bag.
I have the bag. Thank you very much.
Well, maybe open the bag first, because you might want to get a glass and crack open what's in that bag.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, I've currently only got water.
You can't have water.
Ooh, yes, you know me very well. And a bottle of the King's Ginger. That's a one. Thank you very much. That is one of my favourites. And some Prosecco. Thank you very much. I might get Frankie to open this.
Okay, that's fine. And there should be 2 envelopes. If you would like to get envelope 1. Obviously, these are difficult times, and trying to create things and get things together has been a little bit different. But this basically is sent to you with love from everybody in the benefice, and our thanks to you.
Wow, thank you. That is a beautiful card. You've got the idea about where I'm going. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. Oh, wow. This is like one of those novelty checks. That is amazing. Thank you so much.
For those of you that can't see, there was a fabulous £1,300 raised, which, Rob, is for you to choose what you wish to do with that, and obviously just let Poppy know. Or if you want to squander it on something, then it's down to you. The cards, obviously during the collection you've had some personal cards sent to you, but I also had some cards sent to me, so I've included them in that
thank you.
collection there. So we spent quite a long evening just organising the cards. As you know, there's submarines. I don't know if anyone knows that it does appear that Rob's going to be a chaplain on a submarine, so that's why there's submarines.
Don't tell anybody else because it's a state secret.
Oh, is it? Oh, dear.
No.
The second envelope, Poppy, I don't know if you want to do your screen share first.
I will. So we asked Rob what he would like, and he looked like that. And then he said he wondered if Oliver Preston would draw a cartoon for him.
That is amazing. Look at that.
It's Brilliant, isn't it?
That is superb.
So tell us what you can see, Rob.
What can I see? I can see St Mary's and the Cotswolds and some sheep and a baby in a pram and I'm presuming, I mean, that's me on a jetty and a boat with a white ensign. That is amazing.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
That is incredible. I will, yes, that will be on the study wall forever.
And huge thanks to Oliver.
Yeah, thank you.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
So Rob, sorry, the original is currently in the hands of a framer, and we're desperately trying to get it to you before you decide to head north. So in that envelope is just a small copy of what you've got to look forward to, but please have a little look at the little boats.
Oh, amazing. Oh, it's got my daughter's name on. Oh, that's lovely.
So, to you with much love from everyone here.
Thank you. I just noticed that the medals have got the names of all the parishes on. That's amazing. Thank you.
Brilliant.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. So just before you speak, Rob, can I go to Ben and ask him to propose a toast?
Poppy, thank you. And well done, Michelle, for arranging what must have been an absolutely nightmarish exercise. Juliet and I first met Rob at a very convivial lunch party here and came to know what delightful company both he and Frankie were. He has an excellent sense of humour, and as the cherry on the cake, he even read theology at the correct university. Juliet, Rob and I, Richard and I look forward with confidence to inspiring, entertaining and erudite sermons, and we're not to be disappointed. I'm sure many of us have recollections of particular sermons. As Rob knows, I have particular recollections of the one he gave about Edward Jenner. I've always thought that the Almighty must have a good sense of humour, and it seemed to me that Rob personified that within the way in which he took his services. He took them with a degree of solemnity, yet tinged with humour, which made the services both inspiring, uplifting, but also, I like to think, very enjoyable. We shall very much miss him from the services he took at Beverston. During the lunch I've described, many topics were discussed, as you can imagine, but including them was the route by which Rob came into the church. Many of you may know it, but I think it's worth repeating. Rob was at school and university drawn to the ministry since he worked within the church and was obviously, no doubt, heavily involved. But he was on an army scholarship and he was on his way to Sandhurst. So when the time came, the arrangements were made and he was due to go. Most unfortunately, he broke a leg before he'd get to Sandhurst, so that arrangement had to be postponed. I suspect Rob, even at that stage, may have wondered vaguely what was going on. Anyway, he eventually turned up at the appointed time at Sandhurst, only to be told to report immediately to the chapel. I think at that stage he reckoned probably the Almighty had given him so many messages that he was going to have to give in, and so we see him as the fine priest he is today. It's an inspiring story, but it seems to me that it raises perhaps two questions. The first is, was he not surprised that the Almighty wished his services so strongly that he felt it appropriately to break his leg? I challenged Rob with this. He clearly felt that his innate modesty prevented him from replying. The second issue, though, second question, is that we have to bear in mind that he's leaving now to join the Royal Navy. I wondered, and I hope this isn't unkind, whether there was a sign that led to that decision. Perhaps Frankie had pushed him into a swimming pool. If so, Rob, do you think there might be an element of overinterpretation here? Anyway, turning to your future life, I have a godson who recently left the Navy, so I telephoned him to find out what Rob might expect in his new role. He recalled a Christmas Day service in the boiling sun on a flight deck, sailing off Mogadishu. So, Rob, you probably be pushed to tell the difference between your Christmas Day service this year and your Christmas Day services at Beverston. My nephew tells me that the pivotal role of the chaplain on all ships is very important in terms of the pastoral care that the chaplain gives. Many people with difficulties turn to the chaplain, and Rob, you will fulfill that role, I know, with great distinction. You will also, I understand, have knowledge of almost all the secrets on the ship and in full command of all the gossip. Were it me, I suspect my discretion would not be up to the task. No doubt yours will be. In addition, I was advised by my godson and nephew that there is a toast for every day of the week in the Royal Navy. So I asked him what the toast was for a Friday. And he tells me that the toast for a Friday is a willing foe and sea room. So, Rob, I would ask everyone, please, to raise their glasses, to wish you the very best for the future, to thank you for all you've done for us, and to wish you in particular a willing foe and sea room.
Unmute yourselves, raise a glass.
A willing foe.
Unwilling foe. And what was it again, Ben?
A willing foe and sea room.
Willing foe and sea room.
Thank you. That's brilliant. That's brilliant, Ben. Rob, shall I mute everyone? Would you like to respond?
Yeah, thank you, Poppy. The toast for Saturday, you may be interested to hear, is to our wives and girlfriends, may they never meet. Thank you. This is amazing. I'm so pleased so many people have come to see me off in this way on Zoom, and this is not how I imagined I might be leaving here, or indeed the time, as I thought I'd be here a bit longer, but so much is outside of our control. Yes, as Poppy said, we first met back in February 2016, and I remember in January 2016 I was told by somebody from the diocese about this possibility of a curacy in Tetbury, and it came with the words, it would be a typical experience of English parish life. And I'm really glad it hasn't been, because I don't think typical it is the right word at all. I think if it takes a village to raise a child, then it certainly takes 3 villages and a market town and a whole lot else besides to raise a curate. So what I'm trying to say is thank you to everybody. I won't try and name individuals because it would take too long and I would forget so many people. But thank you for everything you've done to help me, everything you've tolerated, and everything practical, spiritual, everything you've prayed for me, and all the rest of it. Though I said I won't mention anybody individually, I must of course say thank you publicly to Poppy, because she has borne the brunt of my nonsense. And if I've been of any use here at all, then it is really down to her. And I mean, my sense of humour has been mentioned a lot this evening, and so I would just sort of say, I think that the key to it all is to take our faith incredibly seriously and to laugh at everything else. And I hope I've done that, and I hope we all carry on doing that forever. And we'll stay in touch. I'm sure we'll meet again somewhere and somehow. And I will, for always, forever be grateful that I serve my curacy in Tetbury, Beverston, Long Newton and Shipton Moyne. Those names trip off the tongue because I've prayed them multiple times daily for 3.5 years. I'll stop talking now and hand back to Poppy. This is my kind of party. It's very ordered.
very ordered.
So now to hear from a few people, and can I go first? I don't know if Joe Woolley is here. I know Julie Royal is, just to hear something from St Mary's School. Julie, will you unmute yourself?
Yes, there we go. Thank you. If I could just say on behalf of St Mary's Primary School that we have thoroughly enjoyed having you, Rob, as part of our school community for the past 3 years. And I'd just like to go back to the beginning of those 3 years and the first time you stood at the front of our large hall in school to lead worship for the children. To stand in front of nearly 300 children is very daunting. Sometimes I feel it's more daunting than standing in front of adults. But over these 3 years, you have truly come on in leaps and bounds. I think you've formed good relationships with the children, and you've certainly helped me and working with Poppy as well to get the planning in place for collective worship in school. You have also, with experience, Christmas and Easter, you have answered all those curious questions that those children come up with, and you have been an important part of Faith Explorers in inspiring all those children there. And if I talk to the children about what they remember about your worships, they always remember your Advent worships, possibly because you come at the start laden with Advent calendars that have chocolate inside, but alongside those, you always deliver the very important message of Advent. And following your Lent worship of this year, you inspired one year group to follow your lead, and they collected foods and donated them to our local food bank. So Rob, we are really sorry to see you go. I hope that you found a gift from school arrived today with you, and just we'd like to say go with our thanks and our best wishes and our prayers for your new role as a chaplain in the Royal Navy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. That was absolutely beautiful. And why don't I just pick up on that reference to the food bank? I hope Rachel Brindle is here, because Rob's been a trustee for the food bank, and Rachel's going to say a few words. You'd like to unmute?
Yep, thank you very much, Poppy. So again, we would like to say thank you to Rob. Rob's been a food bank trustee with us for around the last two and a half years now, and we're really grateful for his support, especially particularly in the last few months, but over the entire time. Obviously, it's been a pretty challenging time for us as a food bank organisation and food bank charity in the last 12 weeks, but Rob's been very supportive to us, both as food bank management and to the food bank board, and also to our volunteers as well. And he often pops into the St Mary's Community Centre when we're operating there on a Tuesday morning, and has a chat with our volunteers, but also speaks to some of our clients too. And we're just really grateful for his support and his guidance over the last couple of years, and we really wish him well. We're really grateful for everybody else's support in the community as well. It's been our busiest year so far, as you probably can imagine, and we want to say thank you to everybody. So thank you. We wish you, Frankie and Clarissa, well. We assure the Navy are benefiting from an amazing person, and our prayers and thanks go with you. So thank you, Rob.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rachel. Another important part of Rob's ministry, of course, has been chaplain to the running club. So Eileen, would you like to, and Peter, would you like to say something?
Hello, Rob. Before you arrived, I heard a small whisper that you might be a runner and that you might be interested in coming down to the club. As you know, we were privileged to have Deborah Curran with us as a chaplain for a little while, and as she moved on, you nicely fitted into her shoes, thank you. But you didn't come on your own, you brought Frankie along. Frankie, you came and joined the Couch 5K group, and I know you made a lot of friends there, Frankie, who sort of supported you as you were expecting Clarissa and afterwards. But it wasn't just that, was it, Rob? We did a few other things as well that I always say you can get running into any situation. So you were very instrumental in helping us set up Parkrun, helping arrange the grant from the diocese, which played a huge part in us having the money ready to start when we wanted to. Sadly, Parkrun's on pause at the moment, but we're hoping to get back there soon. You were also the inspiration for having the monthly collection for the food bank at Parkrun, which the runners really embraced. The one secret I want to share is that Rob and I will never go on holiday together. We did Advent running groups, we did Lent running groups, Easter being a movable feast, it could have been any time of year, and we had shocking weather week in, week out. Every time we met, we had hailstones, we had rain, we did a circuit session in the church one night because it was so ferocious outside. But I do remember we had a beautiful, I can't remember what time of year, it was a sunny day, I think it was sort of May time, and we ran between the church, we ran over the fields to Shipton Moyne, up to Beverston, came back and adjourned for a lovely lunch at the Oak, and a few of the other parishioners in Dolphins met us. I'd like to thank you for the inspiration, Rob, and to wish you well, and hope that both you and yourself and Frankie will carry on running. And good luck from all the Dolphins.
Thank you. And interestingly, the emblem of the submarine service that I'm going to serve is a dolphin.
It's meant to be.
Be with you always. And the other person I know I'd kind of warmed up is our lovely Philip, Tetbury Funerals. Can you unmute yourself? And
yes, am I on?
You are on.
First of all, I'm setting up the beatification for you. It's a miracle. I've got onto Zoom. Anyway, thank you so much for asking me, and I just had some thoughts. So I thought, I was digesting when I spoke to you yesterday. So I'm going to read this for everybody. It's called The Journeys, and then I'll just sum it up then. So for each of us here, life is a journey. It's a journey in time. Our birth is the beginning of that journey, and the importance to believe that death is not the end, but the destination. For our life is a journey that takes us from youth to age, from innocence to awareness, from ignorance to knowledge, from foolishness to wisdom, from weakness to strength and back again. It takes us from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to friendship, from pain to compassion, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat. Upon looking backwards or ahead, we see that victory does not lie at some high point along the way, but in having made the journey step by step. Rob, you've now spent 3 years with us here in the Tetbury area, and we are most grateful to have had you with us, to have shared in your first service, the birth of your first child, and the numerous services you have taken for our clients. You have touched us all, and sad that you are moving on. What is our loss is the Navy's gain, and I know you certainly will be brilliant at how your future life's journey develops. May I suggest that you perhaps get some transfer tattoos to stick on you so you will blend in. The image going to work this morning made me cry with laughter. Live life to the full. Remember us in your prayers, as we all will, and may you stay safe and well. Thank you for everything you've done. Cheers.
Brilliant, Philip. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Now, thank you. That was absolutely beautiful.
Somebody had to do a sermon.
Somebody had to do a sermon. Exactly, Philip. Thank you. I've not got anybody on chat. Would anybody just like to open their mic and say something to Rob?
Poppy? Hello.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep, can, absolutely.
Just love and greetings from Long Newton. And we really enjoyed having Rob taking services for us. Not very many of us, but we know what we lack in quantity, we make up for in quality, don't we, Poppy? So we really love
Absolutely.
it. And I've just composed a little song, which you can all join in with.
Wonderful sermons.
He will live in a Navy submarine, a Navy submarine, a
Navy submarine. He will live in a Navy submarine. A Navy submarine.
And his friends are all aboard. Many more of us live next door, and the band begins to play. Thanks, Rob. That's enough of that.
Sorry. Voice.
Thank you, Arthur.
It's a classic moment. Who said singing wouldn't work on Zoom?
Sorry. Oh, that's singing.
That's good.
It was fantastic. Thank you. Anybody else want to just open the mic and speak?
I've always thought that Rob reminds me of what I looked like when I was first ordained. Well, I hope it's not too depressing for him to think that he might look like me in the last 50 years' time. If you're good on him.
And all the very best.
Yeah, all the very best.
To you all.
Mm-hmm.
So, anybody else?
This is Joe from Shipton Mine. Hello, Rob. I've had the pleasure of ministering with Rob in two contexts. One, supporting you on the altar during the Eucharist, and administering the chalice, which is always a pleasure. And one of the interesting things is in that job, one of the perks of the job is when the priest overfills the cup, and they need to drive to the next worship service. So I get to finish it off. But Rob, I'm very conscious that never happened with you. And I heard you say earlier that you really like an organised party. So I'm pleased to see you like an organised Eucharist as well. And then
I've unmuted it.
No, you need to have it.
And then the other situation ministered together is on Zoom in the last few months. And I've just been really struck by everyone on the ministry team, Rob, Poppy, and everyone else who's been involved in worship over the last few months, and how adaptable and innovative you've been as a sort of worship leadership team. And Rob, you've I hope you don't mind me saying, I know it wasn't something that you relished, but you absolutely leaned into it, and I think you've led us in some really meaningful worship, and your sermons on Zoom have been as impactful as your sermons in church. So thank you for that, and thank you for joining me on Saturdays to just run through everything. So it's been a pleasure working with you.
Yeah, you too, Jane. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Anybody else? Just open the mic.
Poppy, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Peter here. This is the moment when Anne says, "Shut up, you fool," make an idiot of yourself. But I'm going to. I'm glad you mentioned humour, because I found this out very early on in Rob's time with us. One of those services in Lent or Advent, I can't remember which, where you have to don the rose pink vestments, and Rob put his on, of course, and led us through the 8:30 service. And at the end, we all trooped out, and he greeted us at the end. And I said, "Rob, this is not a very good colour for a man, And he said, "Yes, I know that, but I carried off very well." And I realised then that this was a guy you didn't bandy words with. So all the best, Rob. Hope you have a great time at the Navy. I really envy you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, that's fab. So come on, someone. It means so lovely to hear different voices. we got a message from Sarah Parton, who reckoned that it'll buy the money donated might go to buy several bottles of rum, or several barrels. Did you want to say?
Poppy?
Yeah. Hello.
It's Neville here. I should
Off you
say,
go, my darling.
I should say that it wasn't Sarah who said that. It was me, based on my experience of a number of Navy chaplains over the years, that would be about an appropriate amount. But,
that would just about cover it.
Yeah, and it was just to say that I wasn't aware that Rob had started off with the army, but it did make me wonder, Rob. You've got one more chance to get it right still. 2 down, one more, and you can get it right. But all the very best for the future.
Thank you. I'll remain diplomatic on that last point. That is an intimidating.
All the services covered. Rob, do you want to say anything else before we finish?
Only just thank you again, and Poppy, thank you for arranging such a lovely group of people to say lovely things, and it's brought back a lot of memories of things I'd forgotten about over the last 3 years. So thank you to all of you. Yeah.
So the cat's joining in, as she has done very often when Rob and I have sat and had supervision. Anyway, yeah. So we have our service on Sunday, and Rob will be leading, and that'll be another chance to be together. Just one of the things. So in terms of my experience with Rob, when we were planning for him to come here, one of the things that you do as a training incumbent is you go and spend 24 hours at the theological college. And so I went to Cuddesdon, and Rob and I were walking down to chapel in the evening, and I knew I had to have a conversation with him about our age difference. So I said, Rob, I just want to say that I am old enough to be your mother, but I'm not going to be your mother. We're going to, we'll be colleagues together. And we had a really good conversation about that. And after chapel, we had sessions separately about our hopes and fears of curacy, and we met in the bar. And we had Rob and I had a very nice drink together, and we chatted. And as we stood up to say goodnight, I hugged him. Some of you will know that I'm a bit of a hugger, and I hugged him. And I thought afterwards, what have I done? I've just said I'm not going to be his mother, and then I give him a hug goodnight. So at breakfast the next morning, I said, Rob, I think you've got a new fear to add to your list for your curacy, and the fear that your training incumbent will hug you all the time. And I just want to promise you that I will never hug you again. And quick as a flash, Rob said, well, we could save it for special occasions. And that, for me, that just sums up his humour and his grace, which has been so wonderful and such an important element of our working together. So just to finish by saying, from all of us, Rob, much, much love, much thanks. God be with you, for you and Frankie and Clarissa. All our prayers and our good wishes go with you. And through this 3 years, Rob and I have shared morning and evening prayer on many an evening, and we've struggled and we've tussled with scripture. And one of our favorite sayings at one point, when we were having a difficult saying from Jesus, we would say, ooh, grumpy Jesus. So we would have grumpy Jesus sayings, and we'd also struggle with some of St. Paul. So I thought I'd read you, as we leave, St. Paul's farewell to the church in Colossae. A few words. Devote yourself to prayer, keeping alert in it with thanksgiving. At the same time, pray for us as well, that God will open to us the door for the word, that we may declare the mystery of Christ. Conduct yourself wisely towards outsiders, making the most of the time. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer everyone. Here you go. Words of Paul to tussle with. God bless you. We'll sign off now and see you on Sunday. Thank you very, very much. Let's unmute and raise a glass to Rob.
Rob. Well done, Rob.
Well
done, Rob. All the best.
Bob, Frankie and Clarissa.
That's you all.
Well done. Cheers. Have a happy
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All the best, Rob.
Thank
you.
God bless.
Better go. I'm going to go and see Barbara now.
There it is. Oh, can't see that.
Very good.
I love the church in church. See on the sign.